Okay, in this video I am going to show you one of the numerous ways that you can go ahead and use an ematch for your 60-gram canister cells. So what we have here is your standard 60-gram canister shell. On the right, this is one just as you might get it out of the box, and on the left here is the shell with the wrapper removed. Now, some people will tell you that you can go ahead and just put the ematch right here into the side. Well, I'm going to tell you why I don't like doing that. Because if you had the ematch here into the side, let's just say you take your ematch here, and whether you use the shroud or you don't use the shroud, you stick it in there, okay? And we're friction matching right now, but we'll talk about that here in a second. What's going to happen is, imagining your vertical in the tube now, when this launches out of there, the shell is going to go up, and eventually what's going to happen is, as it's coming out, it's going to pull on this ematch here. And so it's either going, when this leaves the tube, it's either going to cause it to rotate and go into a spin as it goes up, or worst case scenario, it's going to hold the ematch in there and yank this entire thing out of your module or whatever you're using for your firing system. So for those two reasons alone, I do not like matching into the side of a shell. We're just going to leave that in there for now so I can safely take it out. Instead, what I like to do is take myself a box cutter, and I will just go towards the bottom here, and I'm just putting a little slit right down there. So all there is just a little bit of a flap that covers that. Now, what you're going to be able to see here is that the bottom of these charges are not entirely filled with black powder, okay, or the lift charge. There is actually quite a bit of space in there, okay? So one of the reasons I'm not awfully concerned even about friction matching these is that there's so much empty space in there that the chance of something going wrong with the friction matching is very low. Now, that being said, there are some people that absolutely do not do any type of friction matching, because while the chance is very slim for creating friction, spark, and ignition, while the chance is not zero, it is very close to zero. But for some people, you know, absolute zero is their goal. What I like to say is that anytime you are working with pyro, it's always about risk mitigation. You're going to decide what risks you are willing to take. So here we have the two different types of ematches that you're most likely to see. Now note that these are not MJG igniters, these are standard ematch. The first one just has a regular shroud on it, which is retractable, and you have your pyrogen there, your ignition source. And you have these, where you can see it has a little bit of a diffuser at the end there, and that is also removable, as well as being able to slide that down. So what I like to do is, now that I have my slit down there in the bottom, you can either leave this orange piece in there or you can slide it back up, either way. Right now, I'm not even touching any black powder in there. So the chance of me, you know, friction matching anything is pretty much zero, because there's no friction taking place. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that back up there. I'm going to roll this up, slide that up there, take some tape, and now we're just going to tape up the bottom where we had our slit. And that should do it. Remember, this doesn't have to be super tight on the bottom here. As long as it's closed, once it's sitting in the bottom of the can or in the bottom of the mortar, it's going to launch with the same velocity, whether that was, you know, sealed from the factory or sealed with that tape. And now what happens is, when this is going to launch out of the tube, that bottom cap is going to come out, and the match is going to have an easy pace. The match will just easily fall out the bottom. And then you'll get as much of a straight lift out of the tube as you can. You won't have to worry about it going end over end, toppling up there. And also, as I didn't mention it in a second ago, but anytime you have something that tugs on this as it's going out, you are causing a decrease in the amount of lift that it has. And so that decrease could potentially cause a low brake situation, which of course you never want to have anything low brake on you. One other thing I forgot to mention is you may have wondered if it's worth taking the fuse out of there or not. I go ahead and leave the fuse on there because if the situation occurs where your match ignites or for whatever reason it doesn't, you still have your fuse that you can go ahead to safely light the canister shell. So I just realized after looking at this that what I showed here, this was going to cause drag because even though this comes out, the match itself is still there. So what we're going to do is just take my blade, put a little slice down the tape, and trace along the match. There we go. And you still have enough cup and everything on there. Just pull that off. So that's the way that I am going to leave these shells. So that is a real quick way of how you can easily, and I consider safely, adding an ematch into your canister shell. Feel free to leave some comments below. I know some of you, may comment that it's still unsafe because of potential friction. I think I've addressed that. If you like it, great. Go ahead and give a like to the video. In the future, I do plan on putting some other tutorial videos in here of things that you can do with consumer grade fireworks or those that are classified as 1.4. Thanks for watching.